Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Whenever you're watching, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Let me know, please, if you are watching live or if you are catching the replay. You can click laughing face if you're watching live, and please click a heart if you are watching replay. Thank you so much for being here. I am Tania Gerard, your congruency coach. And what I do is that I help my clients to understand their experiences, to acknowledge all the learning that comes from them, and then make decisions from the place and the person they have become throughout life. We will get into more details in a little moment. Well, please, I don't know if this is sounding okay, so just checking. Please let me know with likes if you can hear me, if you can see me well, and let's dive into our live class. So the congruency system is, before anything, a system. That means that it works as a whole. When you tweak one of its elements, everything else changes. Think of a clock. Every time you tweak a gear, the whole system readjusts to fit that little change in that gear. If one of the gears stops working or, I don't know, breaks, then the whole system will have a problem, even if it's just a tiny little piece of it. That is why the congruency system, it's that, a complete thing that works. Now, what is congruency? First and big question. When I started working on this, I wanted to find a word that would describe several things. First of all, congruency means that you are at your center. How? Imagine yourself, picture yourself in your mind, and imagine you have like a light or a circle, something, a dot. Okay, a bright colored dot that hangs here on your chest. And that dot is your center. But then imagine that who you think you are is a little bit to the right. And what you do on your daily life is a little bit to the left. And how you do it, the decisions you make, is just a little bit to the right as well. So if you were walking like that, you wouldn't be walking with a center. You would be walking like all over the place. If it was a computer generated image, it will look very strange because it needs alignment. It needs to be in your center to work, to actually have all your energy pushing forward. Now, so far is a very common idea, alignment of who you are, what you do, how you do it, and why you do it. Then it occurred to me that as human beings, we are social beings, we are social animals. And we are ready to align to anything just because we want to be part of the group. And that can work out very strange situations. This is why we tend to align to the values, the beliefs, and the ideas that we learned as we grew up. These ideas, these values, these beliefs are our culture, our family beliefs and values, our religions, our very specific region preference of food, the way we relate in that specific group. All these things are given to us as we grow up. And it is important that we learn them and we acquire them because we want to be part of the group. We want to feel safe. We want to belong. We want to know what to do when we face a challenge. Now, in this world, with all the mobility we have, mobility meaning you can live wherever you want, you get information and news from every part of the world, you get to know a lot of people, even in your own city, depending on what clubs you attend, or like, oh, I'm in a book club and in the painting club, and my kids are in the karate class. So every single one of those clubs is a different experience. You can meet very different people. So we have been carrying in our backpack what we learned as we grew up. And those values, beliefs, and ideas sometimes get in our way when we want to feel well, when we want to feel centered, when we want to know what we're doing, and when we want to know why we're doing. Congruency, therefore, includes this, includes being aligned and being aligned to the beliefs, values, and ideas that make sense to you. How do we know they make sense? Well, they fit you. Imagine that you are wearing your skin. Okay, we are all wearing our skin. But now imagine that inside you are growing. Inside you are needing different things. You are needing new things. And your skin gets tight and uncomfortable. And it limits you. It doesn't let you become this other person you are becoming through your experiences, because it has been there since you were born, and maybe it needs a revision. So in this life, we learn part of these ideas, beliefs, and values. We learn that life is pretty much a straight line, right? We have a starting point. We have a goal. This goal can be a successful marriage, 2 kids, a dog, a house, 2 cars, and a membership in a sports club. And then we work really hard. We put all our effort and energy in getting to this point, to this goal, in being successful. And when we meet it, it's a cause of celebration. Everybody calls us successful people, and we enjoy that. We enjoy that reinforcement from the outside telling us you did really well. Sometimes things do not work out as we expected, and we do not get here. And we become part of this gray mass that we call failure. And failure feels very much like not having the right of being there, not having the right of belonging to a group or to certain people or to a certain place. The problem with this is that life is not a straight line. Of this vision of life as A, B, getting there, the end, it looks a lot like a movie, right? We start watching a movie, they introduce the characters, oh, these are the characters. And then they face a couple of challenges, usually 2 or 3, and they finally work it out and we have a happy ending. Or depending on what movie you're watching, they don't work it out at all. It just gets worse and there's a very, very, very sad ending. And that's it. That works for a movie because we want to be there sitting and watching it for a couple of hours, but it does not describe life. Continuing with the, talking about media, life, I guess it looks more like a TV show. We have seasons, we have episodes, we have a lot of stories going on. And throughout all these seasons and these episodes, we watch our characters change. We watch them grow. We know things they don't want or they haven't acknowledged, and we want them to act on this new information, but they just don't know it yet. That is pretty much what we do with our life. Our life I believe, looks more like a spiral. Not a downward spiral, which is a very common idea in our culture, but more like a spiral that slowly but steadily brings us to who we are, to the center, to the real center. Sometimes it feels like walking in circles because we do encounter similar situations. Life is a very generous, committed, and ruthless teacher. Life will present you with the same lesson until you learn it. That's why sometimes it feels like we're walking in circles. I invite you to take a moment and think, maybe there's a little change every time you encounter the situation. Maybe you identify it before or quicker. Maybe you make a different decision. Maybe just, because you have been growing, because time has been going by, you have more information to make a decision that gets closer to the result you want. The congruency system, therefore, sees life as a spiral that has some elements that work together to support your decisions. Why decisions? Okay, as talking about the TV shows, we could split TV shows into seasons, and then seasons into episodes, and then episodes into scenes. That scene, the result of that scene, is the one that lays a path for the next scene. In our lives, those scenes are our decisions. It can be huge decisions, big decisions, getting married, getting divorced, moving to another country, getting a job, leaving a job, setting up your business, becoming a parent, or even decisions that are not exactly about what situation we want to create, but how we want to react to them. Big life changes, medical diagnosis, financial strain. Those things they don't happen because we choose. They happen because they happen in life, although we do get to choose how we want to react to them and what we want to do with them. So these decisions are the collection that make out the episodes of our life and that extend into new seasons. If you recall, at the beginning of every new season, at least on the shows I watch, the ones that are like sequential, at the beginning of every season, there is a recap. On the last season of Nurse Jackie, all this happened. And they show you scenes that are essential to the plot of this new season. You need to know those things in order to understand this new season of the TV show or this new chapter of your life. That recap, that taking a moment to think about what happened, to understand what you learned, what you know now that you didn't know before, to understand how things have changed for you, for in your environment, in the way you act, in your ideas, in your beliefs. That recap is what in the congruency system becomes the integration. There was a question about this in the post. Thank you, Marie, for posting your question. I will come back later on during the questions section, although I wanted to present right now. So integration is the commitment we make to take a moment, think about what happened, trying to understand it in terms that make sense to us, learning from them, thinking, okay, what can I use from this situation that will help me in the future? And then seeing yourself as the new person you have become. It might not be visible. You might look exactly as you woke up that day. Inside you, though, things have changed. You're wiser. And then every time, so we start becoming aware. Ooh, something is going on. I am feeling things. I am feeling that I'm not as well as I would like to be, or I feel that this experience is being really exciting and it gives me hope. That awareness, that turning on the camera on, watching you, getting to know you. That's how the congruency system begins. Think of a time that you have met somebody that you really like. I'm not talking only about romantic relationships, just friends, people that are fascinating and you want to get to know them better. So, yes, how do you get to know them better? By paying attention. How are you going to get to know yourself better? By paying attention to you. This information you gather as you are more aware of yourself becomes intentions. Oh, this works for me. This makes me feel joyful. I will have the intention to create more joy in my life. Or this makes me feel really lonely. Okay, I will avoid that situation. So your decisions are not casual anymore, are not things that happen to you. You get control of your decisions. You own your decisions. I posted yesterday the congruency principle 3, which is the key element. You own your decisions and then you can be responsible for them. Owning your decisions means being aware of what happens when you make certain choices, having the intention of producing certain outcome, and committing to it. Sometimes it works out and we celebrate and we feel amazing and we integrate. It's very important to take a moment to see, whoa, what worked here? Because I want to replicate it. I want to use this knowledge, this learning to create more of this in the future. Sometimes the results do not work out as we wanted. Why? Because we make the decisions with the information we have. That's all we have when we are choosing. We have information. And this information is not always a lot of information. Maybe we haven't done this before. We don't know what could happen. Maybe we needed to, research a little bit more, but we didn't think about it. Or maybe we had information that was not as reliable information. We can talk about this later on because that is also interesting. Like, how do you create reliable information for your decision making? Back to the congruency system. So you make the choices based on the information you have at that moment. You can always have either not enough information or not very accurate information. That means your result will not be the one you expected. That doesn't mean you made a bad decision. That means you've made a mistake. And it's a spiral. And it's not a one-way lane. You can go back. You can retrack your steps. You can tweak a little bit your path. There is nothing that keeps you in the place you are if you are not happy with it. So this was a brief introduction on how you can use the congruency system to make decisions that fit you. I usually help my clients to discover what well-being means to them if they are not very clear on that. Also, I help my clients in this integration process. How does it look like? Answering Marie's question. So an integration process looks like a break, like literally a break. Maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 2 hours. That would be a VIP coaching session. Maybe it's a month, depending on what happened. And during that break, the first commitment is not to make decisions because you're still learning what happened, understanding what happened. So you stand there, you think about what happened, who you were before, what happened, what experience and learning you can earn from it, and then who you have become after that. It's very interesting because your action steps, my clients' action steps, tend to be about change. I will change my space. I will make these tweaks on my space or on my commitments or on my relationships because they don't fit me anymore. I have all this growth inside that is tight on the skin I'm wearing. That is an integration process. Maria, I hope you answered your question. Please let me know if you have more. And I would also like to include a couple of more questions that people sent me in my email list. Please, if you are not yet in my email list, there are different things going on in the group and in the list. I truly thank you for being here, and I will post soon a way to sign up to the email list. There's an interesting conversation going on as well. And as I am inviting people from the list to join the group, I feel we need to talk about all these things because integration is a communication process too. We need to tell ourselves the story of what happened. And that could be done by journaling, and that could be done by having meaningful conversations. So the whole idea of this group is to have that conversation, to integrate what we have learned. Back to the questions. Is the congruency system only for life-changing decisions? No. It works great for life-changing decisions. It really works well to come back and understand who you are after becoming a parent, or after marrying somebody, or after divorcing somebody, or after leaving a country or arriving in a country. Yes, it works amazingly with life-changing decisions. It also works amazingly with everyday decisions, because the way to stop second guessing yourself, and this, I think, I'm answering the second question. The way to stop second guessing yourself is to own your decisions. So the congruency system works for everyday decisions. It becomes a habit, okay? After working with this for a long time, I can tell you, I can assure you that every time I make a decision, even what restaurant are we going tonight, I consider all the congruency system elements: awareness, intentionality, well-being, ecology, integration, because I want to be ready to be responsible for anything that happens. If the restaurant turns out amazingly marvelous and it's the best restaurant I could ever have chosen, I want to own that. If the restaurant has a terrible food and I don't want to go back there, I want to own that too. So the congruency system works for any decision because it becomes a habit. With the coaching processes with my clients, what we do is that we first work on a specific situation, but as we work on that situation, they learn how to work with the elements, how to apply them, and then they start applying it as a regular thing on their everyday life. That is the purpose. I do not want to work with my clients for 3 years. What I want is to work with my clients through a process of learning and understanding that they can continue to apply for the rest of their lives. And I will end up this live class just telling you something, because I'm so grateful for you to be in the group, for you to be the founding members of the group. We're still very few people. Please invite your friends. But for you, the founding members of this group, I will be offering you a 30% off coupon to book any VIP session There are 2 sessions. The first one is the integration session. So we take a morning, 2 hours in the morning, to talk about what has changed in your life during the past 2 years, how that has changed you, what have you learned from it, and what commitments and what decisions are you going to make from this new person you became. That is a VIP integration morning. It is magic happening. And after those 2 hours, I will follow up with you during a month, because that's a good time to just keep in touch and be together. And then the VIP roadmap to congruency is when you know who you are after all these changes, and some things have changed. Your definition of well-being might have changed, or you are starting to see that your environment and your relationships do not quite support this well-being you need to provide yourself. Then the roadmap to congruency is basically we analyze together the elements of the congruency system, and you decide. You first get a look, you see what is not working or what could work better and what works. And you decide what you're going to do about those things as an action plan on the long term. Now, both sessions you leave with an action plan. That means one thing you can do that same afternoon or that same evening to start building this in your life. So be in the lookout during the day. I will reveal the links where you can book these sessions and the coupon you need to use to get your 30% off discount. This coupon will only be available until next week. So please post any other questions you have here. This is your space. I will be answering them in the chat, in the comments. And let me know, how is this helping you to see the things in a different way? Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching live, Marie and Jessie. And I don't know who else. I see 4 people here, but it doesn't tell me. So thank you, all of you, for watching live. Thank you so much for your support. This means a lot to me. Thank you for catching the replay wherever you are. I know, Sunshine, I know you're in Australia. So any time zone, thank you for catching the replay. If this is helpful to you and you think it could be helpful to anyone else, please feel free to invite them to the group. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye. This was Tanya Gerard, your congruency coach. Thank you. See you soon.